I'm not. I'm really never hungry, but when you put cookies in front of me, or a little breakfast snack,
Yeah,
so
I
I
know.
must say
I
I
think
was slightly disappointed I didn't have cookies this
I
morning,
know,
but
I
that's
know,
okay. You
I know.
brought the turkey
I brought you a turkey.
and the pilgrims and the leftover little flowers
Well,
here.
a little leftover chrysanthemum. Bring us in.
Chrysanthemums. You
The
see how
sun's
look,
out today, so
it's
we
a
have a little
flower.
cheer.
Well, welcome to our Healthy You show. I'm Kim Martin.
And I'm Mary Ardapple with
Yeah.
Coreview Coach, and it is great to be with you once again because that means it's the second Wednesday of the month.
Second Wednesday of every month, we come live at you around this time, and our goal is just to help you make it a little bit easier in living a healthy lifestyle. Learn some tips and get motivated, maybe, and inspired, just to kind of help us out because it can be, it can be tough living that healthy lifestyle with all of the things coming at us and making those choices. But we're really learning about the relationship with food from you, Mary, and it's just been really great. So be sure to share this show. Show us some love. I know Mary likes to come back and comment and talk to you later, but give us some hearts, give us some likes, invite your friends to watch, and it's going to be great. We're going to be talking about getting through the holidays with a thankful heart. And
We really are. And I love it that you just said thankful heart.
yes,
So last month we talked about our boosting our immune system.
yes.
I think now that it's November and it's the month of Thanksgiving, which let's take a look at that word just for a moment.
I know.
Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And to give thanks all year round.
Right.
I will tell you that if you have been watching this show for the last several months, I usually bring you food.
Yes, she does.
And I normally am really focused on food in season. Well, the food in season in the month of November to me is grace and love and compassion for all. And I
Yeah.
think that the holiday of Thanksgiving is the showcase holiday for that. So in my life, Thanksgiving is truly the most special holiday of all the year. And that is because it was my dad's favorite holiday.
Ah.
So do you have a favorite holiday?
Well, my birthday's October 30th.
So Halloween. Okay.
So since it's all about me, I mean,
And there were probably peanut M&Ms in the basket too. Let's just
I
put
know.
it there.
So I love fall. I love
Okay, you love
Thanksgiving.
fall.
Of course, I love Christmas. That has a special spiritual meaning
Right.
to me. So we definitely don't want to downplay that being probably my most favorite holiday. But I was born on October 30th. So
Okay.
this whole season is wonderful.
So the month of Thanksgiving or the holiday of Thanksgiving is a month of Thanksgiving for
Yes.
me. And I had the blessing of being that professional baker that I
Yeah.
got to be able to have my staff, work with my staff and with all kinds of families in creating treats for that holiday dinner. And from my observation of Thanksgiving, I always reflected on that and how surprised the public was that all of a sudden it's Thanksgiving. I mean, it catches them off guard.
It did me
just
already. It's only
absolutely-
2 weeks away, people.
It's like, pie orders wouldn't come in and they wouldn't come in. And I'd say to my staff, they're not ordering this year. I'm sure they're not just ordering. And they'd say, oh, no, Mary.
No pie's going for Thanksgiving.
They're going to be ordering pie. And so I reflected on this analogy of the bakery time and my dad in preparation of the show today. And one of the things about Thanksgiving is it does creep up upon us.
It does.
And that is your first prescriptive exercise as you prepare for Thanksgiving is to circle it on your calendar. It's the same Thursday of every month, the fourth Thursday. It's not always the same date, but it's always the fourth Thursday of November.
Yes.
It doesn't
I was
change.
about to say the third, but it is the fourth
It's
Thursday.
the fourth
It is the
Thursday
fourth
of every
Thursday
month.
every November.
Now I'm going to give you a little bit of coaching here because in today's month, it's early. It's like
It
the
is
23rd.
early. Yeah.
That's going to goof you up already. I'm just going to let you know right now that it's going to be the 21st and you're going to say, oh my gosh, it's Thanksgiving already. So that's why watching today's show, I would like our listeners to leave with some tips on how to prepare for an early Thanksgiving or any Thanksgiving. Okay?
Awesome. I'm excited to learn myself.
Because that kind of goofs me up as well. Because I had a hard time over the weekend realizing Thanksgiving was
I feel
coming
like
right
since
away.
it's early, we might have a little extra shopping time or something. I don't know.
I don't know. It's actually preparing ourselves for the emotions of a holiday. And
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is a great precursor to really evaluate what is your Thanksgiving celebration and what are the traditions.
Yeah.
and start to ponder those. And is there a relative that you'd prefer not to see? There may be. Unfortunately, in some families, there are relatives that they just aren't compatible at the dinner table, and so they only come together at one time of the year or maybe twice during the year.
Yeah.
So how do you emotionally prepare yourself? So you're thinking about Thanksgiving in this huge feast.
Right.
And here you're sitting across a table of a family member or a friend that you really prefer not to be around. So what do? You load your plate up with a few extra servings of something, and you're just going to keep eating and eating and eating.
Down, right?
So what I'd really encourage our listener to do is to be reflective on that person and take a sheet of paper, write their name, and maybe write down a list of what you prefer that you didn't care for in that person, but then find one thing that you really do appreciate about that person. It might have been a gesture that they did long ago. They may have the most beautiful brown or blue eyes, but yet what comes out of their mouth is not the most comforting at a Thanksgiving celebration.
Right.
Focus on those eyes. Every single person that we know and meet, even if it's a person that we choose not to be around, there's something about them that you can find that you really appreciate. So how do you prepare yourself when you have these emotional vampires at the holiday time? So here's a little trick that I do, and I chose my outfit today just to be able to walk through that today. So when I go to an event, maybe I'm a little uncomfortable, or maybe I need a little boost of self-confidence, or it's this family gathering that I'm just like not ready to commit. Or maybe it's a time of loss, and there's going to be a family member that isn't going to be there.
There's always seems to be someone who, it's like, why does it happen at this time of year, you know? But it does. There are people that lose their loved ones starting in the holidays, and that always makes it tough.
And then even at the holidays that we have those traditions, the majority of us have already lost someone, and so that seat's going to be empty at the table.
Right.
And so what do you do to prepare? This is what I do. I pick my outfit intentionally. Okay. And so it's less about, oh, I want the newest sweater or the newest dress. I want to pick an outfit that reminds me of others that have shown me love and compassion without any expectation. Okay?
All right.
And so it's like a recipe. Instead of an edible recipe, it's a recipe that we're going to wear for that day. And you could do this at any time, anytime you're feeling low. So today, it's unusual on a sunny day that I chose that I'm all in gray tones and black.
You know, it is so funny because when I saw you, I'm like, well, you always look adorable.
Well, thank you.
You know what they say, you could wear a granny sack and be adorable.
Well, so. I love hanging with her. I just love hanging with her.
But I did notice the gray. I did. Okay. I'm like, whoa, she's not usually in grays.
I'm not. And fine. I'll probably put on something red after this or purple. But I wore this today because it's a reflection that has given me a warm, emotional feeling. Okay. And so I am cloaked in the thoughts of others.
Okay.
So this top, a friend brought it over to me that she no longer had use for, and she goes, you know, I think that you would look good in this, and I'd like you to have it. Completely unexpected. So every time I pull these sleeves on, it's just as if I'm getting a hug from that friend.
Because you are mindful of it.
And that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so when you're building your recipe, you're actually building a toolbox for the entire Thanksgiving celebration. Not just what you're going to sit down at the table and consume, but you're dressing yourself for that occasion as well. Again, being grateful for the thoughtfulness of another person to you. So I do have red earrings on today, so I had to have a little bit of color. And so again, those were a gift from another friend. And I will wear those earrings when it's like, you know, I just need to feel the closeness. So I've taken something and put it close to my face, not in my mouth, but close to my face to have me feel that warmth. And the red symbolizes to me the coursing blood through all of our hearts. So it's a very compassionate color to me. My dad was the most giving man of all that I ever knew. Okay? And so when I think of Thanksgiving, I wear his memories inside of me.
Okay.
So when I sit down to the table, I think of visualizing him across the table from me. So when I'm seated maybe next to, and I will say, in my family, I'm very blessed. I love my family.
Right.
I absolutely love my family.
husband's one of 9, and we always go to his families for Thanksgiving, and I'm like, ooh, I'm getting excited already because it's so fun.
Yeah, and I just love, I do, I love my family. But I also recognize that's a blessing I have, and it's not a blessing all people have.
No, I know.
So when I think of my dad and the kindness that he showed to others, that gives me the memory and the stimulation to reach outside of myself and show kindness to another at Thanksgiving. Okay. So one of the ways that I choose to do that now that I no longer have the bakery is that I will bake something and I will give that away. So someone else can have that gift at Thanksgiving time.
Right.
Okay. So it's all about the packaging these little gifts and less about the meal table. We'll get to some food suggestions, but I'd really like to talk about, again, what are some of your most memorable shared experiences at Thanksgiving?
Yeah. Well, you know, I've lived away from my family for most of my adult life.
Okay.
So we always get to just see family. So I just get more excited about seeing the family than I do the food. Like, for example, Joe, he's one of 9 kids. So there will be 63 people at his parents. Yeah, at least, maybe even more. There's been more grandkids added. And I think all the kids are going to be there, all 9 of them, and all their spouses and all their kids. And whew, they got a lot of kids, so it's a lot of us. And for me, I just love them all so much. And I really, it's about the people for me. It's
about the people.
It's about the people than the food. Don't get me wrong, I love Joe's pecan pie. So I will have a piece of that pecan pie. But I love the people, and it's the same as my family, too. We just get together because it's something that we don't get to do often.
So that's the first recipe card that I want people to take away, is to really start today on the 8th of November, each day to really contemplate and be thoughtful about what energy are you going to bring to that celebration. And if you do have an energy or an emotional vampire in the midst, you know, that might be narcissist and it's all about me, or there's the one person that poor me, nothing ever goes right for me, how can you take the memory of another person that gifted you so much in your life, and how can you share one of those gifts with one of those people? So set your boundaries when you're sitting at the table, should you have that type of environment. And even if you don't, what kind of memory can you evoke during that energy time to make sure that the person that is no longer with you still is there in thought, word, and deed? Okay? Yeah. That's really, really, really important.
And if you focus, what I found too is there's always somebody, even in a great family that loves each other, after a couple hours, somebody's going to start rubbing you. You know what I mean? It's like you get that many people together, somebody's going to be in a bad mood, you know, and it could be someone that you really love and they don't normally get under your skin, but they are just acting weird that day or whatever, you know. You got to just, I always think, you got to just be thankful. If you just start with a thankful heart and think, what can I do to make the situation better?
So one other thing I would like us to contemplate, is there a neighbor that lives alone? Invite them over.
Yes.
Or take them a care package of leftovers and spend some time. And I think that's the greatest gift that we can do. Is there a coworker that has recently lost someone in their life, or they're alone, or they're going through a difficult time?
Right.
When we're at work and we're talking about how blessed we are, we need to be mindful again that not all the people around us are as blessed in that type of emotional network.
Or they don't feel blessed.
Or they don't feel blessed. So we have that responsibility to be the messenger.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what Thanksgiving is really, truly all about, is to share the gifts that we have with another, not only ourselves and our person.
Mary.
So that is really your number one recipe card starting today, November 8th. I want you to start thinking about others, not just ourselves, at a time of being thankful.
Well, I know all the listeners and myself, we're thankful for you.
Well, thank you very much. And I'm
and
thankful for
your advice, because I'm like, oh, I'm so lucky to be and blessed to be sitting next to you and hearing all of this information and soaking it all in.
You know, as we talk about different subject matters for the month, it's like sometimes let's get into the food, but sometimes it's a little serious. And this is a month that I really want people to feel not only the love that surrounds them, but what love can they give?
Right.
And Thanksgiving is one of those holidays that it's not attached with presents and gifts that are materialistic. They are really surrounded by the gifts of love and compassion
Well,
for
it's
all.
about give.
It's all about give.
It's give. I mean, we hear the word give, and if you give something, there should be nothing expected in return.
That's right. That's a really good point.
Right?
That's a really good point.
It's a gift.
Yeah.
You're giving it. You're
Right.
giving it away.
Right.
So you don't expect anything in return. And in fact, sometimes you're hoping it's not what you're doing it for. When you get something in return, it kind of takes away from what you were just doing, really. So it's about giving, and giving should be free.
It should be.
Otherwise, it's not giving.
And then before we move on to like talking about food and movement and portion size and all that kind of stuff that we really do need to address for a holiday celebration, in closing on around the table, I would encourage all of you to pick up a pen and a piece of paper or a note card. Not an email, not a text, and not a phone call.
Real deal.
The real deal. And if your cursive is not so great, go ahead and type it on a computer and print it out, but at least sign your name. But go ahead and go around that table, and I challenge you to send at least 3 notes after your Thanksgiving celebration to someone that was in attendance and thank them for having shared time with you. That is another really
what a great idea.
a nice little exercise. Now, if there aren't 3 people, maybe you were alone. And I'm sure that we have listeners that may be alone, or there's just 2 of them and families all spread out.
Right.
And this is a year that they aren't able to be with others. Then I encourage you to pick 3 people to just write a short note of just saying, I thought about you today on Thanksgiving, and I'm sure glad you're part of my life. And that simple line, put a stamp on it, and you will make that other person's day extraordinary.
I just had an idea.
Okay.
So I think that's a great idea of if we just get some, thankful for you cards or something like that. And if you're having a moment where you're feeling that emotional eating, or you're going to go back for leftovers or go back to do something, that could be a time that you could fill that space. What I get a lot from ladies is, what can I do to get my mind diverted off the pie or diverted off whatever the food it is that's coming at me? Write a card.
That's right.
So you buy some cards.
That's a great idea.
Have them on your desk or your table or wherever. And if you start to feel an overwhelming sensation to eat or snack when you shouldn't be, write out some cards instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Thank you for carrying that a little further, because that is a really great idea.
Well, I love your idea of sending the cards. I got to do that. I'm so bad at it, and I'm not mindful of it, and I sometimes take for granted the people that I really love and the people that work hard for me, and I need to be better at that.
I'm not ever going to give up on this. There is nothing better than to receive a note in your mailbox unexpected.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, especially today, and especially with all the holiday catalogs that are coming now, take that moment. And it doesn't have to be a long letter. I mean, it's just I was thinking of you and thanks for being in my life. I mean, it can be that simple. So you're coming right into our next segment on the show, and that is, what do you do to prepare when the food starts talking to you?
Right. When the pecan pie starts saying, I'm delicious.
and it is delicious. So here's what I encourage you. Again, today is November the 8th. Thanksgiving is November the 23rd. Boy, I sure hope I have that date correct, but I think I do. So if I don't, sorry, but it's the 4th Thursday of the month. But it is to start thinking about that dinner now.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things from my experience at the bakery that always shocked me, when people are like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden there's this big meal. I either need to bring something to, or I need to prepare. And it is really, really overwhelming. And when we get overwhelmed, we start just shoveling everything in. And again, at the holidays, everybody makes one of the most special dishes, so you feel obligated that you need to sample absolutely every dish. Really, you don't. Okay?
Right.
Really, you don't. But we often do.
Right.
So I encourage us to start thinking about that meal now. And that would be my second takeaway from today's program, is to really start to visualize, where will you be? What are you taking? Get that recipe out now. Get your ingredients bought now, not the week before Thanksgiving.
You're not rushing.
Yep, absolutely. If you're using fresh ingredients, obviously you're going to pick that up later, but write your grocery list now. Only go to the grocery store with a list at Thanksgiving or a holiday time.
Sure.
Because the grocery stores are there designed for you to purchase impulse products that you don't need. So that is really important. Only buy what's on your list for holiday shopping.
I found that I ordered online last week. It was really cool.
Cool.
And I spent less money, about $30 less than my normal
Really?
bill. $30 less
Because
than
you
my
didn't
normal
impulse
bill.
purchase.
All I bought online because I didn't know what else. I mean, I wasn't looking at it, so I had my list. So that's it. I saved about $30. So you're right.
The second part of this, how do you prepare to be healthy at the holidays so that you don't overeat?
Right.
Is to make sure that whatever exercise regimen you're following now, and if you don't follow a regular one, still get out one you should, and Kim will tell you that, and I'll tell you that too, but Kim definitely will get you, is to start even doing some chair exercises. Just start to uptick your movement, whatever that is, and maintain your exercise program now, from now until Thanksgiving. And on Thanksgiving morning, before you know wherever you're going to go for dinner or they're coming, make sure you get 30 minutes of exercise before the meal, because then you've already burned some calories.
Yes.
So I know you're busy, so maybe you're in the kitchen and you're the cook. Do some squats at the counter. Stop.
Go for a walk.
Go for a walk. You know, there are different ways to insert a little bit of exercise while you're still cooking. But be mindful that you get some of that time. Not only is that important for your body, it's important for your mind.
Yes.
And so then your mind acknowledges that you've been in motion. Drink a big glass of water before you go, wherever you're going for dinner, for that meal. Make sure you drink a big glass of water. And the third thing I would encourage you to do when you're at the meal, and you've come, and of course we have all the chips and snacks and all that kind of stuff around, portion control, count your chips. That's what I do. I'm being completely open and transparent with you. I love potato chips. So this last weekend, I was in Colorado with my family, had a wonderful time. We're at the grocery store, and I said, I've had a hankering for salt and vinegar potato chips.
Oh, I love those
forever. And I never buy them.
Right.
I mean, it's very rare that I buy that. And it's very rare I have anything like that in the house. And so it was like, well, we better buy a bag of those, right? So my husband, my son, my soon-to-be daughter-in-law, they don't have any issue with that. But I will continue to just go through the bag.
Right.
So I go get a little bowl, and I count out 12 potato chips. I looked on the serving size. That's the serving size. Find those little tips and tools, portion it out ahead of time, eat it, allow it, enjoy it, and you're done.
What do you think about scanning the line? So like what I talked about earlier in the week to the Curves girls at group coaching was, don't just get in the line and start putting things on your plate.
Right.
Walk through it first. Determine what's there, and make choices based off what your favorite things are, versus that's what I like to do.
I think that is a very, very smart idea, and I am in complete agreement with you. When we know what other people are traditionally going to bring, we know what's coming.
Right.
Okay? And some of them are going to be more fat-laden than others.
Right.
The other thing is to make 2 plates. So you have your leftover plate at the same time that you make your dinner plate. So if you have a paper plate and you're going through the line and you want seconds, don't eat the seconds at that time, but go ahead and make your second plate for a meal the next day.
Okay, good idea.
And that way then it's like, I really wanted to have Aunt Betty's whatever.
But I'll have it tomorrow. Yes.
As opposed to you don't have to consume it all at the same time. So not only plan your dinner plate at that time, and please make sure half of the plate is filled with vegetables.
Yes.
And not
a lot of times you can have free vegetables too, because if they're fresh, like a vegetable tray, just keep going back to that because those are free. The broccoli, the carrots, the tomatoes, all of that. Just keep going back to that until it's time to make your plate.
And then the last thing is to plan what your strategy is for the day after. So I don't encourage anybody to have a holiday meal and then get downtrodden on yourself of like, well, I shouldn't have done this or I shouldn't have done that.
No.
It's like, no, really, enjoy the meal.
Enjoy it.
Absolutely
Yes.
enjoy the meal. Be uplifted by that celebration. You've joined in camaraderie.
No guilt.
And eat slow. And if you eat slow, you won't eat as much. But plan what you're going to do the next day, so have a plan,
Sure.
okay? So as it relates to ingredient substitutions, I swap out Greek yogurt for all sour cream.
Okay, plain Greek yogurt.
I use 2% Fahi bulk Greek yogurt, and that's what I use in place of all sour cream. I don't buy sour cream.
Okay, and it doesn't change the, obviously.
Nope.
Obviously, I've never tasted anything of yours that didn't taste delicious, so it obviously doesn't change that.
I swap out skim milk. If I'm using dairy milk,
Okay.
I swap out skim milk for all milk. So
For what milk?
For any milk. For any dairy milk.
Any
Instead
dairy
of whole milk or 2%, I use skim.
Got it.
Okay?
Okay.
So for all those people that say, oh, it won't taste as rich. Well, if you ever ate a cream pie from Apple's Bakery, they were all made with skim milk.
Well, how about
that?
that?
If you ever ate a bowl of clam chowder or potato soup from Apple's Bakery, it was all made with skim milk.
Okay.
So I swap out skim milk for the whole thing.
Good to know.
So you're taking some fat out and you're not taking away the richness of
and
it.
you're taking out a little sugar, too.
You're absolutely right. Also, replace applesauce. Like in your sweet potato casserole, instead of part of the sugar and part of the oil, put applesauce in.
Oh, sweet potato casserole can be too sweet anyway.
Oh, it can.
It needs to be a little, the sweet potatoes are already sweet. Then when you add that sugar, then it's almost like too sweet.
Right. Well, I agree with you on that.
So a little
when
applesauce.
And
would
when you
probably
make your sweet potato casserole, bake off fresh baked sweet potatoes the day before or 2 days before. Instead of buying canned sweet potatoes.
Sure, okay.
I avoid any canned products as much as possible. Pumpkin, for most people, that's hard to do. But with your sweet potatoes, I really encourage you to just bake them in the oven up to 5 days before Thanksgiving, and then peel them and mash them. And then you can mash them for a really delicious, fresh, nutritious sweet potato casserole.
Yes.
And add a little bit of fresh applesauce, unsweetened applesauce to that instead of all the sugar.
And so would you say cut the sugar in half
Yes.
then? At least in half?
At least
okay,
in half.
good to know.
At least in half, yeah. A couple of other things that I do is I replace honey in place of sugar in a lot of my baking.
Okay.
But when you make a pumpkin pie, you can actually cut the sugar in half in a pumpkin pie and it'll still be very, very tasty.
Interesting.
And pumpkin pie out of all the pies is really okay. I mean, in my book, I'm going to tell you it's really okay. If you use evaporated milk and you're concerned about that extra fat, then buy low-fat, fat-free evaporated milk.
It works the same.
It works absolutely the same. You can use nut milk. You could use almond milk or coconut milk in it if you wanted to do that. If you really don't want to have the crust, and it's because you just don't want to have, it's not that you're gluten-free, but you really just don't want to have the crust. You don't want that extra fat. Make your pumpkin pie filling and scoop it into muffin cups and bake it off, and then you will have baked pumpkin pie filling just in the cup.
And it tastes delicious. That's what you really want anyway.
It's pumpkin pie. It's just without the crust.
Right.
And if you want to go one step further that you don't want to have real whipped cream on it, buy a can of coconut cream and whip that just like whipped cream. So if you're vegan or if you're dairy intolerant, you can buy cans of coconut cream, not coconut milk, but coconut cream.
Will you have this on your website, Mary?
Well, I tell you what we're going to do is we'll be at Curves. Yes, some will be on my website.
Curves Monday.
But next week, for those that want to see and taste some of the things that I like to make that are healthy Thanksgiving side dishes, we have a cooking demonstration this Monday, the 13th at Curves at 11:30. 11 o'clock.
11 to 12:30 on
11
Monday.
to 12:30 on Monday, and on Wednesday from 5:30 to 7.
5:30 to
So
7.
you can go to Coreview Coach on Facebook, and you'll see the event. Go ahead and sign up for that, and we hope to see you then.
Yes. Oh my gosh, 30 minutes. Done.
Done.
Can't believe it.
Here we go.
All right. Awesome. Well, have a wonderful Thanksgiving, because next time Mary will be back, it'll be December. We'll be talking about Christmas.
And we will be talking about cookies. We will be talking about Christmas cookies. I'll guarantee that right now.
Have a great day.
Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Yeah. Christmas cookies.
Yeah.
Healthy ones.
All cookies are healthy.